Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you're enjoying your day so far, and today we're going to talk about the M16 and the AUG, the tactical rifles in Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War right now, being very, very strong indeed. And if you guys have been playing the CDL rule set in game battles these last few days, you'll probably know that the M16 and the AUG are absolutely dominating the meta in those, and really in public matches more generally, because these guns are very, very strong indeed. And we're going to be going through alongside the M16 and the AUG all the things the professional players have banned so far in their gentleman's agreement from their rule set, which has kind of, got on top of the actual official competitive settings right now. A couple of interesting things, a couple of things which maybe you guys think have gone too far, but certainly the M16 and the AUG seem very, very strong indeed. It probably wouldn't be a fun meta to see if the pros were using those. I'm intrigued to hear your thoughts on exactly what Treyarch should do to address this and what the CDL should do to their rule set in the coming days, because a lot of people would say the M16 and the AUG just need to be banned from the CDL rule set, like the LMGs are, for example. Like, if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new. As always, I would greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much for doing that. So a few days ago now, 21st of November, competitive settings v1.0 was released. A lot of people really questioning here, why is the Semtex banned? Why is the Tomahawk banned? But why are the M16 and the AUG two of the most powerful weapons in the entire game? No doubt about that. If you guys have been playing public matches, I'm sure you felt their wrath for sure. Why are these not banned from professional play? And also, like, some of the map selections were kind of interesting. So as Silly says, loading up Cartel Hardpoint with my M16 right now, and it's kind of funny, these last couple of days people have been pointing out that there's this bug in the game which allows Cartel to appear without any of the bushes on it in the middle of the map, which actually seems to make the map play a lot better. So I wonder if Treyarch came out with like a Cartel no bushes variant or something, all of a sudden that might actually be a pretty damn good map for competitive. But definitely the pros not necessarily too happy about it. But as he says, look, loading up with my M16, this gun is just way, way too strong in the current state. And Silly also says about the Tomahawks, right? Like, I was using Tomahawk off the rip and discussing about perk greed as Killer Sloss was doing. So we're going to talk in a second here about exactly how these gentlemen's agreements are going, talking about perk greed and how strong that is, because, as he says, what's the point running a nade or a stun, given that, perk greed is just so strong you can run 6 perks right now on your weapons, and basically not have to face a downside in terms of what you're using, but also Gunfighter is another question mark as well, whether that is too strong, the amount of attachments that you're allowed to put on your weapon. So certainly some tuning that Treyarch can be making here, and I certainly do believe they are listening to the competitive community at a pretty high level. So I imagine that there are certainly some changes here in the works, depending on what the professional players are thinking. And as Kambo says, honestly, I'd run Engineer, but it is banned for some reason. So the professional players have kind of gone above and beyond the rule set which the CDL put in place to get rid of some things that they think are too strong. And Pamaj also talks about the Gunfighter one, right? So the thing that allows you to have all those attachments on your weapon. 4 whole new attachments is too much. Interesting argument from Merk, saying that, like, what if you rock Gunfighter and just, like, all your perks disappear? Probably that side, I don't know, maybe that's too far, maybe that does balance it to a degree. I'm intrigued to hear your thoughts on that in the comment section below, but I don't really mind it either way. To me, 5 attachments is probably enough to get you by, and perk grid is probably the thing that is too strong. But as Pamaj says, maybe Gunfighter just gives you 2 more attachments. That way it's not completely thrown out the window because you want Ninja anyway. Aim assist can naturally go. I never cared for that anyway, as long as it has nothing to do with the gun stats. It's a sniper. It cannot not be a one-shot. This was when all the sniper drama was going on that we talked about at the time. So Crone at CDL Intel yesterday puts together this current gentleman's agreement list. This is the V1.0 as he describes it in the, to some degree in the challengers side in the European region, as we're going to look at in a second, but also what most of the Call of Duty Pro teams are doing right now. So this is what it looks like. In terms of the weapon side, tactical rifles are banned, right? And in the main rule set, as we looked at, the likes of the shotguns, the LMGs, the launchers, these type of weapons are banned as they have been the last couple of seasons. But people very confused the fact that the M16 and the AUG seem to be the weapons that are dominating the meta. I've been watching some of Octane's videos, just dropping a nuke with it. Just absolutely ridiculous. I don't know if you guys saw that one where Octane dropped the nuke with the M16, but that classy add-on was just absolutely ridiculous. And, no tactical rifles. The pros aren't using it for understandable reasons, and I'm sure if you guys have played the game very much, you probably echo their opinion to a degree. The other part of it is the AK-47, right? We talked a couple of days ago, the pros are kind of like, why are these European Challengers players deciding to ban the AK-47? I mean, certainly they don't agree with it. They think the Krig is better, but that is kind of the situation as it stands right now. Then the perks and wildcard situation. So Gearhead is banned. This is the one that allows you to ramp up your field upgrade really quick. So if you have something like a trophy, you can get this super, super quick if you have Gearhead on. So they've decided to just get rid of that one. Then perk greed is also banned. This, I imagine they think it's too strong to be able to have Ninja and pretty much whatever you want in terms of the perk selections. I do think in this game, the way they've gone with the wildcards is kind of interesting. In previous games, the likes of Black Ops 2, for example, in that beautiful pick 10 system that we used to have, you could have perk 1 greed, perk 2 greed, perk 3 greed, but this game they just still decided to combine them and say that, okay, if you want an extra attachment, you can just have 3 extra attachments, why not, with Gunfighter, or you can just have like 3 extra perks with Perk Greed. So in my opinion, they probably could have figured out a better middle ground here, and also Lawbreaker as well, which kind of has the overkill thing, so you're allowed to use Lawbreaker, but you know, no overkill is permitted, which I think is fair, because in Search and Destroy, overkill has always been too strong, especially with how good the sniper rifles are. In this game, you should at least have to have a pistol, I think, if you decide to use a sniper rifle, rather than just pulling an AK-74U out of your back pocket. The other thing is the Molotov as well. I've been seeing people use this in game battles and stuff, and you know, it maybe isn't too strong, but it's kind of annoying to play against. And once again, an interesting thing that the CDL decided not to remove that from their own rule sets, and then some other things, right? So score streaks are gone, thermals are gone. I think you guys may have seen the thermal thing in the first week or so of the game, people using that on the FAMAS, for example, and just shredding people through the bushes on Cartel. And a laser sight as well seems to be in the European only region, seems to be gone as well. So we'll see if the pros actually follow the lead. Maybe they will on the laser idea, but probably not on the AK-47 in my opinion, because it seems like the Krig is the way to go. The other part of this is what teams are limited to. So with all these things banned, the pros have decided that teams are limited to only 3 trophies on their team out of the 4 players. I think the 4th player will either use like an assault pack, but maybe like he never chucks it down or something. And you know, just they feel like if there's more than 3 trophies, the fact that people are already pretty much using flak jacket, the Semtexes are indeed allowed, it just very much creates a situation where there's always trophies all over the place, and it's difficult to do anything with your utility. So I can understand why they want to limit this to some degree, and you know, it's really interesting, right, that they do make these limits, because in previous titles, like a few years ago, the pros were never doing this type of stuff. It was kind of just like each to their own, do what you want. But these last few years, they've started to implement these ideas that, okay, players can only use X amount of smokes, they can only use X amount of trophies, and it's a very difficult thing to implement into like a CDL rule set, for example, right? Like, let's say you try to put this in the rule set that only 3 players are allowed to use trophies, then you've got to try and like code that into league play, for example, where like 3 guys can use trophies, 1 guy can use a smoke and respawn. It gets to the point where it's pretty difficult to keep up with, and it's probably a minor addition, right? So I can kind of see why they go down this direction, but you know, it definitely does add some more separation, I think, between the casual and the competitive community. And then on the smoke side as well, so 1 smoke is allowed in respawn because they think that too many smokes would be too chaotic, and I can certainly understand that, right? Like, if all 4 players, if all 8 players on the map were running smokes, chuck them in the hard point, I mean, it would just be chaos every single time, and people would be allowed to contest too easily, right? So 1 smoke in respawn, 2 smokes in search to block off lines of sight. I think that honestly kind of makes sense. GodOfX was talking the other day as well about how apparently your smoke grenade player in the respawns has to be an assault rifle, so that your SMG can't just run into the hill, drop a smoke at his feet, and then run around like Dylan God, I suppose, on some Petrograd domination in Call of Duty Modern Warfare with his knife out, just killing people or whatever, like Crimsix was kind of frustrated about at the time. So it doesn't really seem like they want that to be the case this year, and certainly the game seems to be playing a pretty traditional boots on the ground style. But these are the things that the pros have got rid of right now. And well, as Chrome goes on to say, Jam is also more than likely gentleman's agreemented. Wasn't 100% sure though, so I left it off for now. But it seems like the main thing that people are frustrated about right now is the tactical rifles in the CDL rule set. And well, as this guy says, playing the GBs last night against 4 burst rifles was just not fun to play against. And as Penguin says, they'll be nerfed by the time ranked comes out in March. But I do believe Trek are trying to be on top of things a little bit more than that. I imagine that some sort of changes are going to come relatively soon to these weapons, because to me it just seems like they're way unbalanced in the current state. You just get one bursted with no remorse, quite honestly, for these weapons. And just to finish off the video, I wanted to talk about this because a couple of you guys were pointing this out to me, what Dr. Disrespect had to say on like the whole mobile gaming thing, and it's certainly an interesting direction to keep your eyes on the Call of Duty side, because they're, well, Nation at 100 Thieves, they are all in on Call of Duty more generally. They're picking up a Warzone team, they've got Tommy and Rated as their starting 2 members. They've of course got well, I imagine what will be a pretty solid CDL team in Slasher, Kenny, TJ, and it looks like it is going to be Temple, though no announcement as of recording this video. But he also made it very clear that he's going to be all in on the Call of Duty mobile side as well, and picking up a team for that. Certainly something that makes Activision an awful lot of money, and I imagine they are looking to exploit to some degree going forward. But as Dr. Disrespect says, I've got 3 state-of-the-art 1 millisecond speed color calibrated monitors staring at me, a keyboard, etc, all this stuff. And you have the guts to tell me mobile gaming is a serious thing. But honestly, it kind of does look like mobile gaming is the way that certain things are going, and Call of Duty Mobile certainly seems to have, well, it seems to have its place to some degree. I mean, we saw this a while ago with this, you know, hilarious in-game comms that were happening in the Call of Duty Mobile World Championship not too long ago, which kind of came out of nowhere, but they had all the big casters in this, right? They had Maven, they had Golden Boy in, they had Bryson Tan, they had a number of, well, big-name casters, and obviously it makes sense given that Activision run this and all of that kind of stuff, but you'll certainly have to keep an eye on going forwards what this looks like. I'm not sure it's my ideal competitive scenario, but it certainly does have to be said that this does appeal to an awful lot of potential player base, right? So we'll certainly have to keep our eyes on how this one develops going forwards. But yeah, I'm not sure I'm quite sold quite yet, as Dr. Disrespect does not seem to be. But yeah, maybe I'm a console elitist or something, who really knows. Just to finish out with this clip as well, familiarly, calculated 1v4 for $800. This was pretty nasty, and maybe shows to some degree really how, well, the SMGs right now are not viable, as we were talking about earlier today. The fact that Illy, really an SMG player, or generally is using the AK-47 in this one, absolutely smoking people, and yeah, incredibly well played in this. The fake slide right there he did to fake that he went down low was, yeah, very impressive indeed. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and help grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always, take care, and I will see you next time.
Okay. Johnny. Oh! That's what I